Fox 2 News Live at 11 starts now.
More on that in just a few minutes. But first, good morning and thanks for being with us. I'm Amy Lange.
Yeah, Brandon Hudson.
Stellantis making big moves to try to recover financially from the historic UAW strike.
So now the automaker is now offering buyouts to roughly half of its white-collar workforce. Fox 2's Josh Landon has the details of the new offer.
Yes, some big news here given the past few months here in Metro Detroit and across the country. We are outside of the Stellantis headquarters in Auburn Hills, where we are learning Stellantis is offering buyouts to its white-collar workers transitioning into electric vehicles. As we all know, the company owns Jeep, Ram, Chrysler, Dodge, and Fiat. And Stellantis is one of the big three that is in the final stage of wrapping up its negotiations with the UAW following the 44-day strike with union represented members here in Metro Detroit and across the country. Now, what we're learning in regards to this buyout is that the company is offering this buyout to white-collar employees, roughly half of its white-collar workforce, which is roughly about 65 workers that are being offered this buyout as of now. The workers have experienced anywhere between 5 to 9 years with the company, and the lump sum payments would vary based on their years with the company Stellantis. Now, where everything stands at the moment, also, workers who decide to say yes, they have until December 8th to make that decision, and if the answer is yes, the separation date will be by December 31st, the end of this year. But nevertheless, this comes shortly after the strike with the UAW and the Big Three came to an end in late October, and now we're learning overnight about these buyouts that are being offered to white-collar workers with the company Stellantis, the second of the Big Three to wrap up its negotiations with the UAW back in late October. We'll see how this next stage unfolds in the weeks ahead, but nevertheless, buyouts are being offered to white-collar workers here with the company Stellantis. In Auburn Hills, Josh Landon, Fox 2 News.
And in other news, a teenager is recovering after being shot in the leg.
Yes, this happened on Detroit's east side on Peyton near Meringue. The 15-year-old is expected to be okay. Now, right now, Detroit police, they're not releasing much information on the case, including why the shooting happened or if anyone is in custody. But anyone with information should call DPD right away. Detroit police are also seeking information to help catch a crew that broke into a marijuana dispensary on the east side. The investigators say that the armed men targeted a security guard sitting in his vehicle outside the store on Mack Avenue near Bedford early Saturday morning. They took his keys and cell phone and then ran off. While the guard was distracted, 3 other suspects used an SUV to break into the dispensary.
And a family of 7, including 5 children, leaping for their lives from the second floor of a burning home. They're all expected to be okay thanks to a neighbor who helped get them out. Fox 2's Dave Spencer has more from the Good Samaritan who jumped into action.
The back of this house on Kramer Street in Detroit gives you an idea of what a family of 7 had to endure Saturday morning.
They're coughing and everything. Kids are on the ground crying, bleeding.
Shantasia Young lives right next door. She works overnights and was getting ready for bed at 9:30 in the morning when something caught her attention.
I heard a loud noise and I thought it was coming from inside of my home.
The sound the neighbor likely heard was this air conditioning unit right here being pushed out of the second-story window by the mother. When she looked up, she noticed an infant girl being dangled by her ankle out that same window.
She was so scared and terrified. I was too. She was just asking, making sure I was able to catch the baby.
Shantasia caught the child. Mom and Dad soon followed, jumping from the second floor to safety.
Dad was limping. Mom was bleeding from a couple of different places. The baby was not crying. She was breathing and moving, was not making a sound. 5
children, roughly 10 years or younger, enduring a horrible ordeal as their house burns around them. The next day, when the father came back, Shantasia was given an update.
He said the 2-month-old did have a few broken bones, but that everyone is expected to recover fine.
Expected to recover physically, but the effects of this will likely linger in other ways.
I mean, that's 2 parents and 5 kids. They're definitely going to need some assistance. We've had a couple of insurance adjusters and everything coming over to talk to us. But yeah, they're going to need assistance so close to the holidays, all of those kids.
There is work being done to create a fundraising effort for this family, and we will pass along any information as it's made available. The Detroit Fire Department has yet to determine an exact cause or origin of this fire. Dave Spencer, Fox 2 News.
Well, a major update in the Oxford school shooting case here. An Oxford County judge grants the request of the parents of the school shooter to be tried separately.
James and Jennifer Crumbly are each charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. Until now, their court appearances have been held together. Now there will be 2 trials sometime next year. Their son's sentencing is less than a month away. He pleaded guilty to murder and could get life in prison without parole.
Meanwhile, there are growing calls for the members of the Oxford School Board to resign. The group Oxford Community Catalysts are also demanding other school officials be held accountable for the 2021 shooting. An independent review of the tragedy released 2 weeks ago found the district failed to provide a safe environment for students. It also said that the shooting might have been prevented if proper threat assessment guidelines had been in place.
We shouldn't be scared to send our children to school where they're supposed to be learning and making the world a better place for their kids in the future. We should be proud of our kids and be, proud of our district.
The group says it's also hoping to encourage new candidates to run for the board next year.
And a Memphis, Tennessee nonprofit hiring Kwame Kilpatrick to serve as its executive director. The organization is called Taking Action for Good, and its mission is to reform prisons. Kilpatrick served more than 7 years in federal prison for corruption-related crimes, and before then, or after that, President Donald Trump commuted his sentence in his final days in office. The nonprofit's founder says Kilpatrick is the ideal person to help develop new strategies and outreach for the organization.
Negotiations will continue today on Capitol Hill as lawmakers race to prevent a government shutdown. Some Republicans now push back on a plan from new Speaker or House Speaker Mike Johnson. It would provide temporary funding at current levels, with new lower levels taking effect at various times next year. But some Republicans want to see cuts now, along with the money for border security and aid for Israel. It is not clear if any Democrats will support the plan. The U.S. Supreme Court has adopted its very first code of ethics for justices. Now, some of the rules would require justices to report potential conflicts of interest and would allow impartial panels to review a justice's decision not to recuse themselves from a case. The court recently faced criticism over undisclosed trips and gifts from wealthy benefactors to some justices. The code has no real mechanism for enforcement and leaves compliance up to the justices themselves. So bottom line, this is an honor code.
Okay, well, the defense team for former President Donald Trump and the Trump Organization will continue presenting its case today in the civil fraud trial in New York. Yesterday, Don Jr., was called back to the stand. He boasted about his father's real estate portfolio, calling him an artist. Eric and Donald Trump are also expected to testify again. The judge in the case has already ruled that the real estate company fraudulently inflated Trump's wealth and assets to get better rates from banks and insurers. The trial is to determine the amount of fines and if the company can keep doing business in New York. It is expected to last about another month.